The NBA playoffs are coming up very soon, as we are 77 games into the NBA season, and we're getting closer and closer to the playoffs, closer to the finals. And I'm here to tell you today that the finals are going to be the same. We are going to see a rematch between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. These two teams have been on absolute tears. The Suns have been dominant all season long. They have the best record in the league by a wide margin. They're just been one of the best overall teams of the season. And they don't have players like Giannis that are going to win MVP. Chris Paul and Devin Booker kind of like split that between the two of them. But they are by far the best team this season. The Milwaukee Bucks have been just absolutely playing great basketball of late. Giannis has been amazing and inserted himself back in the MVP conversation. And the Bucks have a chance to become first in the East, and the Suns are going to be first in the West. So we might end up seeing a one seed versus one seed in the finals, and it's going to be the Suns and the Bucks. The Bucks' path to the finals is much harder than the Suns. The Suns, in my opinion, I think like they almost are a lock to make the finals again. The Western Conference is just not as good as what we've seen in the past, and it's not as tough as the Eastern Conference. Players like Kevin Durant, James Harden are no longer in the Western Conference, and the Warriors are probably the second best team in the conference, and maybe the Denver Nuggets could give the Suns a good run if Jamal Murray comes back and is healthy. But the Warriors could give them a good run, but Steph's currently out right now. He said he's going to be back to the playoffs, but we haven't seen it yet. And just the group of Steph, Clay, and Draymond Green, they haven't really played much together. So who knows if they'll be able to put it together and beat the Suns in a series when the Suns have been together all year. They're by far the best team just overall. Like everybody plays great together. Mikal Bridges has played every single game this season. He's been absolutely amazing. He's really stepped up as the fourth player on the team, and that's what I want to talk about is the fourth best player on these two teams, because I think that's what comes down and helps the teams win championships is your depth and guys that can come in and make differences as not the star, but as someone who's a role player, as like slightly more than a role player, just one of your next starters, guys that do stuff. For Milwaukee, it's Bobby Portis. For Phoenix, it's Mikal Bridges. These two guys are making it where the team's big threes are really big fours. If you look at player efficiency ratings, Mikal Bridges has a 14.69 player efficiency rating, and Bobby Portis has a 17.87 player efficiency rating. If you just look overall at the Phoenix Suns, you see Devin Booker rated at 21, DeAndre Ayton rated at 22, Chris Paul rated at 21. That's your big three there. But then if you look at Milwaukee, you got Giannis at 32, far ahead of everybody else because he's Giannis. You got Middleton and Drew Holiday at 18 and 19, and then Bobby Portis at 17. So Milwaukee definitely has a big four with those three guys. You got Giannis as your best player. Everybody knows that. There's no question about anyone being better than Giannis. But the three guys of Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Bobby Portis, they're really similar. Their numbers are not very. Their efficiency numbers are pretty similar. They both do different things that are very helpful to the team and the team winning. And Bobby Portis averaging 14 points a game along with 9 rebounds is very helpful to this team. Plays really good defense. Same thing with Mikal Bridges. He averages 14 a game. His efficiency rating is a little lower than the other big three, but his big thing is his consistency. He's played about 35 minutes a game for 77 games this season, started all of them, which is absolutely incredible. He's, grabs a good amount of rebounds, about 4 or 5 a game, gets a couple assists here and there, but he's got over a steal a game, and he plays really good basketball, under a turnover a game, doesn't turn the ball over, is a really smart player, and the guy that him being on the floor, because he's been on the floor every game, is something that happens when teams make championship runs and teams that stay great. They have guys like this that play every game that make things happen. To me, he reminds me not the same effect as Draymond Green with the Warriors and their runs, but similar status in terms of if you turn their game on, this guy is going to be on the floor somewhere. He's not going to have the ball in his hands, but he's going to have an effect because of what he does without the ball, what he does just being there, his impact, his ability to make off-ball moves, great cuts, stuff like that. So that's why I see Phoenix is an absolute lock to make the finals. Milwaukee, they're going to have a tougher run. They got to get through Brooklyn. They get their stuff figured out. They're 8th right now, so that could be a potential first-round matchup. Miami is still a solid team. Joel Embiid, James Harden, that's a good duo in Philly. And just the Eastern Conference, it's a little bit tougher than the West is this year. I think everybody would agree with me when I say that. And it's usually the opposite, but definitely the East this year stepped it up. You got, Kevin Durant in the East now, Harden in the East now, Harden in Philly now. So there's a handful of good teams, and it's going to make it tough in the East. We saw the game the other day where Giannis hit this amazing step back versus the Nets. These two teams are probably going to have a really good series again if Milwaukee doesn't come out of the East. I think it's Brooklyn over anybody else. Boston's also been playing really good basketball as late, but the Robert Williams injury really doesn't help them much. And I think the other two teams, the Bucks and the Nets, are just like more experienced than the Celtics are, especially Giannis now with his title and KD with his experience, and the whole Bucks team with the title, because they're really pretty much the same team. And that's why I think we're gonna go back to this Suns Bucks finals. And if you watched some of my earlier videos, you would know that I think the Bucks were gonna repeat. So if it comes to a rematch, Bucks Suns again, I think it's gonna be the Bucks again. The Suns are definitely playing better basketball right now. They look better. They beat them earlier on in the season by a lot, actually. And I got it. The Bucks have done nothing for me to not think that they're gonna win another championship. The only thing I don't like that they did is got rid of PJ Tucker. I really liked his impact defensively in that series, but they're still the same team. They're still a really good team. They still have Giannis, who, in my opinion, is the MVP. He's by far the most valuable if you look at what it is. His efficiency rating is a whole 14 points higher than anybody else on his team. Something that you can't say about Devin Booker and Chris Paul because they're not even 1 and 2 on their team. DeAndre Ayton's number one among qualified, of course. But if you get this series, I think people are going to like the Suns as favorites, and they should. But people are going to like the Suns because they're going to make quick work of teams in the Western Conference on their way to the finals. They're going to win Series 4-0. They're going to win Series 4-1. They might even win the Western Conference Finals in only 5 or 6 games, something like that. Where the Bucks are probably going to have 2 series go to 7 games. That's the way the Bucks play. Giannis, through his entire career, is a guy that just grinds things out, does what he's got to do to get better. He spent all the time to learn a jump shot, learn how to hit his free throws. He's got it happens things over time. They're not going to come out and sweep teams 4-0. They could, but I don't see it, especially how good the Eastern Conference is. They're going to win Series 4-2. They're going to take it to 7. They're going to go up 2-1, and then stuff like that. They're going to just methodically wear you out and win a series because they're better than you, they're stronger than you, they're more physical than you, and they're a very tough team to beat in a 7-game series. A random game, you can beat them. Like we saw Phoenix jump up 2-0 because they stepped out and outshot them first 2 games of that series. But in a 7-game situation, I just don't see how you can beat Milwaukee. They're just better. They're just a stronger, more physical team, and it's going to wear you down, and they're going to be able to win series. They're going to win these series like they did against the Nets last year by wearing them down and winning it in late in the series. I know Nets had injuries, but so did Giannis. So if Giannis is healthy, of course, health is always an impact. I see the Bucks beating the Suns in a rematch of the finals, just because the Bucks are going to wear them down. I think this year we'll go to 7. Bucks over Suns, Game 7, 2022 NBA Finals.